Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now from deep in the darkest forests of northern Minnesota, the show you've waited for. This is Grizzly's Growls. And I am honored to present our host, the man, the mystery, the legend. This is Grizzly.
Hello there. My name is David Grizzly Smith, or so I am called, when I'm doing my little podcast thingies that I do. I've been doing this since 2007, so we're coming up on 10 years of podcasting. Well, my hair's a mess. Tell you what. Anyway, I was looking for something, I admit, looking for something to live stream, and this is sort of me live streaming. And I wanted something that would be on point and kind of consistent with what I've been doing as far as the old books and such are concerned. And I've noticed in Twitter, there is, you periodically see lately, some quotations from some articles that Theodore Roosevelt wrote back in the day. And I tracked down the original sources. Here's the thing. I keep wanting to say 2000. 1904, William McKinley was elected president. Shortly thereafter, he was shot and killed. This young fella, who he'd picked as his vice president, had to take over rather abruptly to be president. He was the youngest president ever at that point. A fellow by the name of Theodore Roosevelt. You might have heard of him. And did a decent job as president. He was rather well liked as president, and managed to run on his own hook in 1908 and won, and became president in 1909. At the time, though, he said, "I'm not going to run again. Okay, this is my last term. After this is done, I'm done. I'm out of here." So 1912 comes around. He can't run for president because he already said he wasn't going to. So he picked a fellow that he thought would make a good president, a fellow by the name of William Howard Taft, and convinced Taft to run as the Republican candidate for president, and Taft won. And then Roosevelt left the country, but not to Africa for a couple years. Anyway, in 1916, he came back and wanted to run as the Republican candidate for president again. And the Republicans said, "No, we got the incumbent. We're just going to keep that Taft fella." So he basically Roosevelt ran as a third-party candidate under his own little party called the National Progressive Party, sometimes known as the Bull Moose Party. You've probably heard of it back in high school. And he and Taft were running against a Democrat by the name of Woodrow Wilson. And some people contend, fairly reasonably, that Wilson won because Roosevelt split the Republican vote. And so Woodrow Wilson became president. Taft was out of a job. Roosevelt was out of a job. For a while, he was actually writing a column for a magazine back east. And once a month, and pretty widely spaced. But he knew a fella, or had known a fella, who owned a newspaper in Missouri called the Kansas City Star. The fella's name, Nelson, I think it was. Anyway, he knew a fella who'd owned the place. That fella had died. The current editors of the paper had called on Roosevelt and says, "Tell you what, you want to come write a column for us? Rather than writing one a month, you would be writing, at least to start, twice a week. And you can write on any subject that you deem appropriate. You'll try and keep it on topic and something that our people will be interested in reading." So he started writing for the Kansas City Star. Anyway, that's where these quotations have been coming from. And I looked through the book, and I'm pretty sure I found the particular column that keeps getting quoted. And it's an interesting article. Well, two things. One, I wanted to make the actual full text of the column read that into the audio record, if you will. It's already in the public record. I mean, it's a public domain. There's a book of all the columns that you can find on the Internet Archive, which is where I found it. But read it into the audio record, give you an idea, perhaps, what it might have sounded like if, and I don't do impressions, but how Roosevelt would have said it if he could have just said it aloud, rather than typing the whole thing or dictating it to his secretary who had to type the whole thing and send it off to Kansas City. But anyway, the article is called Citizens and Subjects. It's from the Kansas City Star from April 6 of 1918. At this point, the U.S. had been at war with Germany, and at that point, I believe, also Austria and Turkey. First World War, we call it now. And Roosevelt had been a rather vehement supporter of the war, but opponent of how the Wilson administration had handled the war and how the Department of War had handled the war. And so he was very outspoken, and people started to get a little PO'd at him for being quite so vehement in his criticisms of the actions of the president and of the White House and of the administration. And he had something to say about that. So this is his column from April 6 of 1918. Citizens and Subjects. Citizens or Subjects, April 6, 1918. In a self-governing country, the people are called citizens. Under a despotism or autocracy, the people are called subjects. This is because in a free country, the people are themselves sovereign, while in a despotic country, the people are under a sovereign. In the United States, the people are all citizens, including its president. The rest of them are fellow citizens of the president. In Germany, the people are all subjects of the Kaiser. They are not his fellow citizens. They are his subjects. This is the essential difference between the United States and Germany. But the difference would vanish if we now submitted to the foolish or traitorous persons who endeavor to make it a crime to tell the truth about the administration when the administration is guilty of incompetence or other shortcomings. Such endeavor is itself a crime against the nation. Those who take such an attitude are guilty of moral treason of a kind both abject and dangerous. Our loyalty is due entirely to the United States. It is due to the President only and exactly to the degree in which he efficiently serves the United States. It is our duty to support him when he serves the United States well. It is our duty to oppose him when he serves it badly. This is true about Mr. Wilson now, and it has been true about all our presidents in the past. It is our duty at all times to tell the truth about the president and about everyone else, save in the cases where to tell the truth at the moment would benefit the public enemy. Since this war began, the suppression of the truth by and about the administration has been habitual. In rare cases, this has been disadvantageous to the enemy. In the vast majority of cases, it has been advantageous to the enemy, detrimental to the American people, and useful to the administration only from the political, not the patriotic, standpoint. The Senate Judiciary Committee has just recommended the passage of a law in which, among many excellent propositions to put down disloyalty, there has been adroitly inserted a provision that anyone who uses, quote, contemptuous or slurring language about the president, unquote, shall be punished by imprisonment for a long term of years and by a fine of many $1,000. This proposed law is sheer treason to the United States. Under its terms, Abraham Lincoln would have been sent to prison for what he repeatedly said of Presidents Polk, Pierce, and Buchanan. Under its terms, President Wilson would be free to speak of Senator-elect Lenroot as he has spoken, but Senator Lenroot would not be free, truthfully, to answer President Wilson. It is a proposal to make Americans subjects instead of citizens. It is a proposal to put the president in the position of the Hohenzollerns and the Romanovs. Government by the people means that the people have the right to do their own thinking and to do their own speaking about their public servants. They must speak truthfully, and they must not be disloyal to the country, and it is their highest duty by truthful criticism to make and keep the public servants loyal to the country. Any truthful criticism could and would be held by partisanship to be slurring or contemptuous. The Delaware House of Representatives has just shown this. It came within one vote of passing a resolution demanding that the Department of Justice proceed against me, because in my recent speeches in Maine, I, quote, severely criticized the conduct of our national government, unquote. I defy any human being to point out a statement in that speech which was not true and which was not patriotic. And yet the decent and patriotic members of the Delaware legislature were only able to secure a majority of one against the base and servile partisanship of those who upheld the resolution. I believe the proposed law is unconstitutional. If it is passed, I shall certainly give the government the opportunity to test its constitutionality. For whenever the need arises, I shall in the future speak truthfully of the President in praise or in blame, exactly as I have done in the past. When the President in the past uttered his statements about being too proud to fight and wishing peace without victory, and considering that we had no special grievance against Germany, I spoke of him as it was my high duty to speak. Therefore, I spoke of him truthfully and severely, and I cared nothing whether or not timid and unpatriotic and short-sighted men said that I spoke slurringly or contemptuously. In as far as the President, in the future, endeavors to wage this war efficiently and to secure the peace of overwhelming victory, I shall heartily support him. But if he wages it inefficiently, or if he should now champion a peace without victory, or say that we had no grievance against Germany, I would speak in criticism of him precisely as I have spoken in the past. I am an American and a free man. My loyalty is due to the United States, and therefore it is due to the President, the Senators, the Congressmen, and all other public servants only and to the degree in which they loyally and efficiently serve the United States. And that's that. And you can kind of see why people keep quoting the thing, because it does seem kind of on point lately now, doesn't it? You might rather it wasn't, but yeah, kind of. It is something to keep in mind. Especially considering, well, never mind. I'm not even going to go there. You know what I'm thinking. You know what I could say. We'll see. Anyway, let me know if you have any comments or questions. Thanks for listening, and have a good night. Thank you for listening to Grizzly's Growls, the life and times of a minor local celebrity. If you like the show, tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. If this podcast lasts more than 4 hours, see your doctor. Theme music is Hot Swing from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or at feeds.feedburner.com/Grizzly's Growls. Comment at grizzly.libsyn.com or by voicemail at the comment line 218-234-CALL. That's 218-234-2255. These shows are released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 license. Your mileage may vary.